Imagine if every bite you took didn't just nourish you, but actually actively heal the planet. Today we're diving into exactly how you can make that a reality, starting, well, right now. Our mission in this deep dive is to uncover actionable, sustainable living strategies through food choices that optimize your personal health while significantly reducing environmental impact. We've pulled insights from a really comprehensive exploration of sources, including James Collier's insightful book, Well Fed. It really challenges some long-held assumptions. So what we eat, it's such a powerful lever for change, isn't it? And not just in our own lives, clearly.
Oh, absolutely. It's truly fascinating how deeply our personal food choices are tied to the health of the entire food system. We're talking about this incredibly interconnected web. It stretches from the soil beneath our feet, how agriculture is practiced, all the way to the ethical treatment of animals and the global climate. Every single meal has a story and a ripple effect.
Right. And we often hear this idea, don't we, that the global food system is broken. Mm-hmm. It's a compelling statement, but maybe a bit simplistic. What kind of nuance do our sources, like Collier's book, bring to that? Is it really broken?
That's a great question, because it's not entirely broken, though it's certainly far from perfect. In some ways, it has actually improved. Globally, more people now have access to calories than ever before. Yet there's this bizarre paradox of plenty. It's strange. While the number of people facing hunger actually went down by 150 million between 2005 and 2019, millions still suffer from undernutrition, and we waste over 1 billion tons of food every year.
Billion tons? That's staggering.
It is. And this isn't just inefficient. It's a profound systemic failure, sort of disguised as abundance. And what's more, our modern food choices, they contribute simultaneously to rising metabolic diseases, pushing us towards relying on medicine instead of, prevention. And they contribute to escalating environmental destruction. It's a double whammy.
And it gets even more concerning when you look at the actual food itself. Are we really getting the same bang for our buck, nutritionally speaking? I've heard some surprising things about modern crops. What's the story there?
Yeah, the evidence is pretty startling, actually. You might now need to eat, say, 3 oranges to get the same amount of vitamin C your grandma got from just 1.
3? Seriously?
Seriously. And this isn't just like a feeling, it's directly linked to declining soil health and certain farming practices. Conventional farming, while it focuses on yield, can inadvertently deplete the very nutrients in the soil that make food nourishing. But, on a positive note, regenerative farming offers a powerful solution here. It enhances nutritional profiles by improving soil health, and it draws carbon back into the earth.
So we've talked about the external food system, the farms, the waste. But what about our internal systems, our brains, our guts? How much are they really driving the bus on our food decisions? It feels like it's not just about what's available, it's about what we're maybe biologically wired to crave.
You're absolutely right. Our eating habits are shaped by these really complex internal mechanisms. Take hunger hormones, like leptin, for instance. It's released from our fat cells and signals satiety, that feeling of being full. But what's truly eye-opening is how much our body weight is influenced by genetics. Some research suggests up to 70% is determined by our DNA.
70? Wow.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it tells us that weight control is incredibly complex. It's far beyond just willpower. However, and this is important, that still leaves about 30% that is within our individual control. So that gives us significant agency,
Oh, so even with a strong genetic hand, there's still room to play our cards, so to speak.
Right.
What about the immediate experience, the senses? We eat with our eyes first, right?
Precisely. That's another powerful internal influence. Organoleptic cues, the smell, the taste, the texture, temperature, the sight of food, they're all crucial. And while they all chip in, smell actually plays the biggest role in how we perceive flavor. Just think about how dull food tastes when you have a cold, a stuffy nose.
Yeah, totally. And then there's this whole gut-brain connection. It almost sounds like science fiction sometimes, that our gut could have a mind of its own influencing what we eat.
It's astonishingly true. Your gut microbiome, that whole kilogram of microbes living in your digestive system, it has a profound connection with your appetite, your energy regulation, even your mental health. Scientists have known for decades that food influences these microbes, but now it's becoming clear that certain gut microbiota can actually send signals to your brain, influencing how much you eat.
Wow.
Yeah. Essentially, poor dietary choices can mess with these microbes, creating a kind of vicious cycle. That cycle can then drive further unhealthy eating and contribute to metabolic issues.
We really can't ignore the digital world, can we? It feels like every other post on social media is some new food prophet telling us what to eat or what not to eat, often with absolute certainty.
It's a striking new phenomenon, isn't it, in human history, really? And our brains haven't quite caught up this proliferation of online food prophets dishing out these improbable hashtags. It raises a big question. Why are so many online sources giving demonstrably incorrect health advice? Studies show up to 90% inaccuracy sometimes. And it's often motivated by things like financial gain or the pursuit of popularity or even what some have called a messiah complex. This information overload frequently leads to fear-mongering, scaring people off perfectly nutritious, affordable foods. And it pushes listeners towards unrealistic, kind of one-size-fits-none diet plans that are often prohibitively expensive and exclusive too.
Okay, what does this actually mean for your plate, our listeners' plate? Let's talk simple, actionable shifts, prioritizing well-being first.
Right. The underlying philosophy here could be called contemplative eating. And it always starts with your health. It has to. Think about it. If your own well-being is compromised, how can you effectively care for others or the planet? Maximizing your personal health ultimately means you'll use fewer resources from already strained healthcare services too.
And a great starting point, often overlooked maybe, is fiber. Seems so basic, but the benefits are huge, right?
Fiber power is absolutely real. Yes, it does so much for you. It normalizes bowel movements, helps maintain healthy cholesterol, stabilizes blood sugar, promotes satiety feeling full, which is great for weight management, and crucially, it supports a healthy gut microbiome, which, as we just discussed, has profound implications.
So how do we easily get more?
Oh, easy ways. Bulk out meals with pulses, think beans, lentils, choose whole grains over refined ones, eat the skins on fruits and vegetables where you can, add nuts and seeds as snacks. Just remember, fiber acts like a sponge, so you absolutely must drink plenty of fluid with it. That's
Drink
key.
water. Okay, digging a bit deeper. What about things like protein supplements? Or even our daily coffee? Are we getting what we think?
Yes. That's where the nuance really comes in. Excess protein supplements, for instance. They've gained what our sources call this wishy-washy credibility through marketing.
Wishy-washy. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, they have their place for specific needs, definitely. But the boom in protein-fortified everything suggests additional protein is always better, which just isn't true for most average people. Similarly, energy drinks. Huge global market, over $86 billion. But they're often mislabeled, aren't they? They're not really energy drinks in terms of calories. They're stimulant drinks, because of caffeine, mostly.
Right, the caffeine.
Exactly. Now, moderate coffee consumption, say 1 to 3 cups a day, can offer genuine mood and cognitive benefits, even act as a mild antidepressant for some. But overuse, we're talking over 500, 600 milligrams a day, that can lead to caffeine intoxication, which means wrecked sleep, shakiness, irritability.
Moderation is
not
key
good.
there. Let's talk blood sugar. It feels like a real roller coaster for many people, maybe without them even realizing it. How does that constant spiking and dropping affect us, our health, our mood?
Well, those highly refined carbohydrates cause these rapid blood glucose spikes, right? And then the inevitable crash. This roller coaster triggers the release of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, and that can lead directly to feelings of anxiety, irritability, and actually increased hunger. It's counterintuitive. In stark contrast, studies consistently show that good adherence to traditional diets, like the Mediterranean style, rich in fruits, veggies, nuts, legumes, that's associated with a significantly reduced risk of depression compared to the typical
diet
Western
and mood are
diet.
really closely linked. And finally, the chocolate conundrum. It feels so good in the moment, that pleasure hit. But is it actually helping our mood long term?
Yeah, being told to avoid chocolate might be the last thing you want to hear when you're feeling low, right? The texture, the taste. It certainly tantalizes us with a little boost of pleasure, no doubt. But we have to remember, those overwhelming impulses that make us indulge, they're a problem compounded by our modern world of food abundance. As you dive into that maybe third slice of chocolate cake, just consider that these evolved signals for pleasure, they're not really working to our advantage anymore. Not in a world where food is constantly available. It creates this urge to overconsume.
That's a
past what
sobering
we
thought.
actually need.
Okay, so it's clear our personal health really benefits from these kinds of shifts. But like you said at the start, it's not just about our well-being. Every meal has this ripple effect. Let's look at how our choices can actively contribute to a more sustainable, more ethical world. Because our plate, it's a powerful tool for global change.
Absolutely. The environmental impact is profound. It really is. Agriculture and food waste combined contribute over 41% of human-caused methane emissions.
41.
From food and agriculture, yeah. And methane is a potent greenhouse gas, traps far more heat than CO2 over the short term. This means simple dietary changes like reducing animal products can have a significant and pretty immediate impact on global warming. We're talking a measurable 0.18 degrees C benefit. To put that in perspective, that could close like 45% of the gap needed to reach the Paris Agreement's 2015 goal just from diet
That's
shifts.
huge potential impact from something so personal. Okay, so what's a practical way for someone to start without feeling totally overwhelmed or like they have to go full vegan tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. The reduced authoritarian approach is an incredibly actionable way forward. It's very flexible. This doesn't mean going fully vegetarian or vegan, unless you want to, of course, but it's about aiming for a cap of, say, around 10% animal calories in your diet overall, just switching to one plant-based meal a day, for example. That alone can reduce your carbon footprint by about 35%. Yeah. Practical tips. Reduce portion sizes of meat and fish. Incorporate protein-rich alternatives like beans, lentils, nuts. Maybe have meat, fish, or eggs at just one meal a day, max. Minimize dairy.
What about seafood? That's always a tricky one. Are there genuinely sustainable options out there?
There are. Our sources really highlight the unique environmental advantages of mollusks. Think oysters, mussels, scallop. They're often overlooked but incredibly sustainable. Why? They aren't fed by humans. They require no water filtration and farming. And they actually sequester carbon from
So
the
they're like little
atmosphere,
carbon
locking
sinks.
it up in their shells. Pretty much, which is a stark contrast to the pressures of overfishing and unsustainable fish farming, especially where carnivorous fish are fed wild-caught fish. That just increases pressure on wild stocks. So yeah, creating better awareness of mollusks could make
Okay, good to know.
aquaculture way more
Beyond our
sustainable.
individual plates, what systemic changes are really crucial? What's the big leverage point for a healthier food future?
Regenerative farming. It's a crucial weapon, really, both against global warming and for better nutrition. It's not just about growing food, it's about actively restoring agricultural lands. It improves yields, requires fewer agrochemicals, and enhances the nutritional quality of the crops themselves. It's fundamentally about building healthy soil. And healthy soil has this incredible ability to pull
And
carbon back out of the
We can't really have this
atmosphere.
conversation without touching on the ethical side, especially industrial farming. It's tough, but important.
It truly is. The grim reality of factory farming, well, it's massively inefficient. Land use, calorie production, it's just not efficient. It also poses significant disease risks. Animals confined so closely together, it leads to routine antibiotic use. And that exacerbates the global problem of antibiotic resistance, which affects humans too, of course. There's even the historical risk, remember, of prion diseases like CJD, mad cow disease, from feeding animal parts back to livestock.
Yeah.
Buying factory farmed products, however unconsciously maybe, it contributes to this system of suffering. Even the language we use, like beef or veal, it actively distances us from the sentient beings we're consuming. Makes it easier to overlook the trauma and suffering these animals often endure.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the cutting edge, innovation. How is technology literally changing what's possible on our plates? It's exciting, but maybe challenging to our old ideas too, right?
It absolutely is. Food tech offers some powerful, sometimes surprising solutions. Take GMOs, for example, genetically modified organisms. Despite a lot of public wariness, our sources indicate there are no credible studies showing risk in consuming them. In fact, they offer benefits like golden rice, which addresses vitamin A deficiency, or crops that are drought resistant.
Okay, and what about this lab-grown meat idea? Cellular agriculture.
Right, cellular agriculture. This tech grows meat directly from animal cells in sterile environments. No animal needs to be raised and slaughtered. The potential is revolutionary. Reducing food safety risks, potentially eliminating antibiotic use in livestock entirely, and obviously enormous animal welfare implications. It's been called potentially the biggest upheaval in how we produce food since the agricultural revolution, like a second domestication.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? This idea of food from thin air. Sounds like pure sci-fi.
It sounds like it, but it's already here. Companies like Solar Foods in Finland, they're producing protein directly from CO2 and water using genetically modified microbes.
How does it even work?
It's amazing. They feed these microbes hydrogen split from water using electricity plus CO2 and nutrients. The result is this powder, like their product Solein. It's incredibly efficient, like 20 times more efficient than photosynthesis in plants, and maybe 200 times more efficient than traditional meat production. It's versatile, could become an affordable, common protein source, completely
Mind blown.
decoupled from land
Okay,
and
so
traditional
with
farming.
all this tech, maybe our whole idea of processed food needs an update too. We tend to hear processed and immediately think bad, but that's too simple, isn't it?
It really is. Food processing isn't inherently bad. It's been integral to human evolution for thousands of years. Grinding grains, applying heat, fermentation, it's all processing. It's about preserving food, making it safe, making it edible, enjoyable, and crucially, freeing up human time from constant food prep. The negative vibes often apply
Right,
more
junk
accurately
food.
to what's better described as junk food. Yeah. Those hyper-palatable convenience foods, usually high in fat, sugar, salt, calories, often low in fiber and micronutrients. While classifications like ultra-processed food exist, our sources suggest they can sometimes be overly simplistic. They might unfairly stigmatize perfectly nutritious foods just because they went through some processing steps. Junk food is arguably more useful, more universally understood, for the stuff we should be cautious about.
Even our insecurities, it all plays a role here. It's not just the food, it's our whole relationship with
It absolutely does. Humans are kind of cued to seek and maximize perceived pleasure from food. And this often stems from our innate anxieties and insecurities, consciously or not. There's that great quote from the Zen Buddhist philosopher Alan Watts. He said something like, "The animal tends to eat with his stomach, and the man with his brain. When the animal's stomach is full, he stops eating, but the man is never sure when to stop."
That hits home in our world of abundance.
Exactly. In a world where food is everywhere, all the time, our evolved signals for pleasure are often no longer working to our advantage.
And finally, let's zoom out again. This idea of individualism versus interconnectedness. Our personal food choices might feel isolated, but they're really not, are they?
Not at all. In many Western individualistic cultures, there's often a strong me-first mindset, prioritizing our own needs, our immediate family. And while self-care is vital, you can't effectively care for others if you're not healthy yourself. It's crucial to acknowledge that we live in an increasingly interconnected world. Climate change, environmental degradation, these are planet-wide problems. They affect everyone. So being mindful of how our own preferences might bias our view, and understanding that what affects one truly affects us all.
Amidst all this complexity, the technology, the ethics, the environment, there's still the simple, profound power of just eating together.
Absolutely. Never underestimate that. The profound benefits of sharing meals are often overlooked. Social eating reduces stress, it fosters empathy, it can even strengthen our immune system, and it helps pass on healthy intergenerational habits around food, even if sitting down at a dining table for every single meal isn't realistic. Remember, it's often the being among friends and family that counts the most. If you seldom get to eat with others, prioritizing social activities around other things.
We've covered a lot. We've journeyed through the complexities of our food system, from its impact on our personal health and the planet, right up to these exciting, maybe slightly scary innovations on the horizon. I think the key message is pretty clear. Your food choices are incredibly powerful.
They really are. And remember, even those small shifts we talked about, like trying that 10% animal calorie cap, or choosing mollusks more often, or adding more fiber, they can contribute significantly to a healthier you and a more sustainable world.
So, considering everything we've discussed, here's a final thought. What if the most radical act of self-care and maybe global stewardship you could perform today began not in the gym, but right in your own kitchen?